What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna go over this unique ghosting echo effect. This is how the effect looks. Alright, so once you're ready, let's jump right into After Effects. So once you're in After Effects and you have your clip that you want to use, I'm going to use this one right here of Melly walking across the screen right here. What you first want to do is highlight your clip and press Ctrl D so that you duplicate it. Now you want to double click on your duplicated layer and rotoscope out your subject. If you don't know how to rotoscope, basically you just mark out your subject as you want, and if you want to remove a part of the rotoscope, just hold Alt and it removes it. So you just want to go frame by frame and rotoscope out your subject. If you want to change the brush size, you can press Ctrl and adjust it like this. Ctrl and then left click. So once you're done rotoscoping your subject, make sure you click the freeze button down here. This is going to lock your rotoscope into place. So now we can go back to our composition and you can hide the bottom layer to see how your roto looks. What you want to do is go to the left here and click use motion blur and decontaminate edge colors. And now you can also play with the shift edge a little bit to get the best looking roto brush. You can also up the feather a tiny bit. What you want to do now is right click your roto brush layer and pre-compose it, and make sure you click the move all attributes into a new composition and then click OK. And you can also just cut the excess off right here at the end by pressing Ctrl Shift D and then deleting it. So now what you want to do is go up to your effects panel and search for pixel motion blur and add that to your roto brushed layer. What you want to do is turn up the shutter angle to something like 3000 and then turn up the shutter samples so that you get a smooth effect with no edges. So this looks pretty good. You can copy the settings if you want. I use 3000 shutter angle and 65 samples. You can increase it and decrease it as you want. Now what you want to do is highlight your composition by pressing B and then press N at the end, so you can see it's going to highlight all of this. What you want to do now is go to composition up here and then add to render queue. Go into output 2 and then create a new folder. I'm going to use this tutorial folder right here because it's empty. Click on the lossless right here and then make sure you use the Photoshop sequence and then make sure you select RGB plus alpha and then click OK. Now what you want to do is click output 2 right here and then find the empty folder. I'm going to use this tutorial folder right here and then press save. And now what you want to do is render out your composition. Just click the render button. This is going to take a little while. Once your render is done, what you want to do is right click an empty space in your project tab, click import and then file, and then find your folder that you saved it on. Click on the first Photoshop file and make sure you select Photoshop sequence and then click import. And make sure you select pre-multiplied with color black. It's just going to make your render transparent. It's going to remove the black in your frames. Click OK and then you're going to find it right here. What you want to do now is hold Alt and drag it on top of the composition that you made. This is just going to replace it. And now you can delete the pixel motion blur effect on this. And now you can see it's going to play back really smoothly and it's a lot easier to work with. So what you want to do now is create a new solid. So the way you do that is right click down here, click new and then solid. Just make it white for now. And now what you want to do is go to effects and search for particle playgrounds and add this to your solid. The first thing you want to do is go to your layer map and then select the Photoshop sequence and make sure you click the absolute. Now you want to play with the time offset in your layer map to make it look as if the sequence is following your subject. So I found that 0.02 is a pretty fair time offset. It looks pretty clean when you're following a person. Now what you want to do is go into your Canon and play around with your direction. You want to have it go a little bit outwards and not fall down like this. So I'm going to have mine at about 75. You can change all these later depending on how you want it to look. And then we can mess with the velocity right here to make it go outwards more or inwards. I'm going to keep mine at 140-ish. You can also play with the velocity random spread depending on how you want it to look. And also what you want to do is mess around with the gravity tab and then change the gravity. This is going to affect how fast your ghost is going to fall, and or if you just want it to levitate in the air. I like to have mine at about 80. And as you can see, once you towards the end, it's going to sample things that are out of your rotoscope. So what you want to do is cut this off, press Ctrl Shift D and then delete them. Now what you want to do is put the blending mode to screen on your solid. Do the same with the Photoshop sequence. You can also put other blending modes if you want, but I'm going to choose screen for mine. Now I'm going to add some curves to change the colors of my ghost. So what I want to do is make this a little bit more green. So what I want to do is go to the channel for green and raise this a tiny bit. And it looks a little bit too blue right now, so I'm going to change the blue one and then decrease it. It's going to look more green. So this looks pretty good. Now I want to add some radial Radial Blur, drag that to your top layer. Turn this up to about 10 or 15, which is gonna look more ghost-like. And then you can also add some sapphire glow to make it look like it's glowing a little bit. Decrease it from the default one because 2 is pretty high, so we're just gonna change it down to about 1.2. And then you can mess with the width and the color as you want. I'm gonna have mine as white and then just turn the width up a tiny bit. And now what you want to do is copy these 3 effects that we just made, the glow, the blur, and the curves. Just select all of them and copy them and then add it to your Photoshop sequence. So let's see how it looks so far. That looks pretty cool, but I think it looks a little bit too light right now, so I'm gonna make it a little bit more green and maybe decrease the glow a little bit. And I'm also gonna mess with the blues on the curve a tiny bit more. Just decrease the blue and make it a little bit more green because I think it's a little bit too light as it was. So I'm gonna actually change the blending mode for my Photoshop sequence to make my subject stand out a little bit more. So I've been playing around with it a little bit. I'm gonna choose linear light. It's gonna create some contrast between your person and the ghost effect, so it looks a little bit better. So I'm pretty happy with how this looks right now. You can obviously mess with the settings more as you would like to and mess with the blending modes. Just make it unique in your own way. So this is the final effect. Thank you guys for watching. If you want more tutorials, make sure you subscribe and check out the Instagram if you want to. And I'll see you guys in another video.